Our last section focuses on co-teaching and collaboration. Many of you will be in a co-teaching or collaboration environment working with another teacher in your classroom, especially if you have students with disabilities in the general education classroom setting. And with that, you will have to find ways to work with that co-teacher. Now, there are 6 different models of co-teaching. As you can see from the presentation, there are 5 that are listed, and I will talk about the 6th one in just a minute. So as I go through each one, please take note. First, you have one teach, one observe. In this particular setting, you have a teacher that takes responsibility for teaching the majority of the class, while the other teacher observes the class by taking notes on behavioral issues or progress, as well as any academic issues. In our next model, we have one teach, one drift. Now, this also is called one teach, one assist, where again, you have one teacher that takes the primary role for instruction. The second teacher drifts through the class or traverses through the class, assisting students as needed. The third model is parallel teaching. In this particular model, the class is split in half, and both educators take responsibility for teaching the same content. Now, with this particular model, teachers are in the same location, teaching to a split group of students, for which either teacher could have students with disabilities in each setting. Our fourth model, the alternative teaching model. So if you look at this model, notice that you have one teacher working with a larger group of students and another teacher working with a smaller group. The teacher working with a smaller group of students is usually either pre-teaching or reteaching some material that students may have struggled with. Now, in this particular model, that smaller group that may be pulled to the back could be students of varying ability levels, but it does not have to include students that are just with disabilities. It could include students that are high achieving or all students that may be struggling in the class. The fifth model, team teaching. This is where both instructors take responsibility for instructing a single lesson, usually flowing back and forth with one another, finishing each other's sentences, and working to ensure that all students within the classroom understand the material that's being presented. And the model that is not listed is station teaching. In station teaching, there are different stations, usually of equal size, and with those different stations, teachers are allowed to work with groups of students instead of just one single group of students or a smaller group of students. Here are some tips for effective co-teaching. It's very important that you get to know your partner. So you'll be working usually with another teacher for the entire school year or at least a semester. So it's very important that you get to know their habits, you understand their teaching styles, because that will help you in effectively managing the classroom. Create a workable schedule, understanding that the students that you have in the class may vary. And it's very important to understand that the schedules of each educator may be different as well. So you have to create a workable schedule. Vary instructional practices. Again, as I mentioned, the instructional strategies that should be utilized can benefit both educators as you pool your resources and knowledge. Avoid second guessing your partner. It is a team effort for the benefit of your students. So you should be working together. And that leads to the final piece. You have to be able to communicate, because in order for the classroom to really be successful, both educators must be on the same page. Now, co-teaching must include co-planning. So you need to find a time to plan together, discuss what will be taught, how it will be taught, and by whom. And you need to try to create a co-teaching lesson plan, because that lesson plan template can be utilized to organize the lesson and the benefit for all of the students in the classroom, recognizing that there may be some students that will be learning at a different pace from the other students in your room. So with that, we've highlighted a lot in this particular module. Again, I impress upon you, it's very important to seek assistance as you are learning more about working with students with disabilities. Remember that your first point of contact is that case manager for that individual with disability. Remember to always try to use that people first language, starting with the individual, following with the disability. Also, remember that there are 13 disabilities covered under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. So even though you may only interact with about 5 or 6 of those disabilities, it's important to know that the county services all individuals that may have a disability. And then is an integral part of your duties and responsibilities to be an active member of the Individualized Education Program team. So as a member of the IEP team, please attend every IEP meeting and make sure that you're an active participant. And in the classroom, remember those models of co-teaching. Try to find time to collaborate so you can implement any accommodations as needed. And so thank you so much for listening to this presentation on working with our students with disabilities.